Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman Outdoors here, and I am extremely excited for doing this knife review because it is my knife. This will be the knife that will be being produced by Very Good Knife Company. So I'm going to be doing this review, just kind of showing you guys the knife, kind of giving you guys some updates on it, when it's going to release. And I will be doing more videos on this knife, obviously, because, well, it's my knife and, you know, I'm excited for it. I've been trying to get this produced for a long time, and I'm very happy that it is actually coming to fruition. So let's try and test out my knife, the Huntsman by Very Good Knife Company. All right, quick little promo here. I'm going to show you guys here. I have, this is the White River Knives Ursus Cub. However, it has Lucas Carroll custom grips on it. So be sure to check out Lucas Carroll Customs, or Carroll's Customs, I think is the website. And check out Armitage Carry. He makes some of my favorite sheaths, especially for like those small EDC knives. They are my favorite. And when you check both of these out, be sure to use promo code LASTHUNTSMAN, all one word, all capital letters, and it gives you a little friendly discount on both the Carroll Customs scales and an Armitage sheath. All right, so this is the Very Good Knife Company Huntsman. Just be kind of going over some of the basic specs on it and kind of my thought process. What I wanted with this knife was something kind of in that like SE6, BK7 kind of size range. It's kind of right in between those two as far as size, and wanted something just robust with a broad blade that can kind of chop decently and still have enough finesse that it can still do a lot of your finer tasks and stuff. You know, I don't really believe in the one tool option thing. However, this knife would make a pretty good jab at it. It's about 2 inches, or actually right at 2 inches at the widest point here. So as you can see, it's narrowed down here and widens out. It's 3/16. It's going to be an 80 CRV2 steel. Good old crusty carbon steel. I love that steel. Very Good Knife Company does amazing work with it. He brings the edges up, so it has good edge geo. This knife, in my honest opinion, hits beyond its weight class. We're going to be offering 3 different colors: green, black, and natural micarta. Now this will be kind of the sheath setup. There's a couple things I added to it. I added my own patch on here, and I added this belt loop. We're still kind of figuring out what we're going to be doing with the belt loop. And so the blade, back to the knife here, the blade's going to be 6.5 inches overall, or yeah, 6.5 inch blade, 12.5 overall. And it has an exposed pommel, so you can kind of do those nice little attitude readjusters if you need to. I'll show you guys a couple. Actually, I got one right here that is fairly similar in size. So if you're a fan of the Architect 6.5, this is going to be about the same size overall. Huntsman, I'm going to do a little bit of batoning, just getting started with it. Baton's really good with that high saber grind. I'm gonna do just a bit more batoning, and then I'm gonna try to find a piece of oak and do some oak too. This is a piece of cedar, but it's a knotty piece of cedar. see if we can find a piece of oak. Another piece of wood, I'm gonna do some batoning. This one has knot in it. It's not oak. I think it's a piece of hickory. I could be wrong though. But my Huntsman knife, an 80 CRV high saber grind. Not gonna be fazed by it. All right, so when I designed the Huntsman knife here for Very Good Knife Company, what I wanted was something that could be equal mid-sized survival belt knife and something that can be used as like a decent chopping tool. The way I designed the handle, I could really choke back on it, kind of do a 3-finger grip and still get very controlled chops with it. And because that blade kind of has that forward heft to it, it can kind of out chop past its class here without being a kukri. Because as you guys know, I'm not a big kukri fan and easily make a steak. My knife, the Huntsman, it's not going to be some like heavy chopper, but it can take down some small trees. You know, this is kind of, I would put it kind of in the same class as like a Becker BK7 or SE6. Made a little piece of, there we go, made fairly short work of this. All right, here's the tree I just downed. Just gonna do a little bit of delimbing here. So to all the tree lovers out there real quick, just know that I use everything that I cut down. I don't just cut down stuff for nothing. Everything I cut down gets used. I'm gonna do a bit more chopping here. This knife, for its size, chops amazingly well. And part of that is the blade shape. A part of that also, the way I designed the handle, just kind of like a Becker. I could really kind of choke back on it. What I like to do, kind of like a 3-finger grip, put my pinky right there. And I could chop all day with this. And it doesn't want to rotate. It doesn't want to fatigue my hand. It's actually, I'm very impressed with the way VGK executed my design. So I'm going to talk about the handle a little bit. I was inspired for this handle shape slightly on the Becker series. As you guys know, when I was in the Marines, the Becker BK7 was like my main go-to knife. So this handle shape. I kind of was inspired by it, but it feels really good in my hand. Now I know no matter what you do, you're not going to make everybody happy, all right? So I have had some people complain that there's no palm swells, there's no palm swells. And over the years, I've kind of come full circle on palm swells. Some knives execute them well, some knives don't. And some knives, it might work for some people, and some knives it doesn't. And the issue that I have with, you know, palm swells on some knives is, you know, it might be right here, it right smack dab in the middle, and it might feel great for, you know, my hand, for example, but somebody with a larger hand, it might feel absolutely terrible. Or I've seen them like more up here, and, you know, it kind of can vary from person to person. Another issue that I've seen with palm swells is that sometimes people tries to almost overly make the knife too ergonomic. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but what I've seen, I've personally have gotten injured by this, is the knife wants to rotate in your hand because it's too round, versus with these flatter scales, it does not rotate in my hand at all. I could index it really well, and for me, I could do what I call the ninja death grip. I could take this, just do that ninja death grip and slice all day long with it, and it does not bother my hand at all. And so one of the knives that kind of woke me up to the flat scale thing and how it can be done right is the TRC knives. If you look, most of those has just flat scales. They're just radiused extremely well on the edges where they feel just perfect in hand. And another company that does that very great is Very Good Knife Company. And so when I decided to go through him to produce my design, we kind of discussed it a little bit. And we decided, you know, I told him, I was like, hey, I really like how you do your flat scales. And, you know, it's part of the way he just does his knives. And so we decided to just go with the flat scales. And honestly, I wouldn't change it with my knife at all. I like it. So, you know, if you're kind of one of the guys that's saying, oh, it needs palm swells, I'd say just try a Very Good Knife Company or try a TRC before you kind of get into that kind of dogma. Because I think a lot of what we're seeing as dogma in the knife world is more internet based and not actually real world use based. But this knife feels great in my hand, and I'm not even just saying that because it's my knife. I'm saying that just because it actually does feel really good. I'll say the same thing about all the rest of the Very Good Knife Companies, just like I kind of brought up the whole TRC as well. One of the things you could always expect from him is a very sharp spine. We're gonna get some good fluff here going. And I'm going to use my little ferro rod from Phil's EDC. There we go. I'm going to get a big fire going because it's like 90 degrees out here, but it does do the work. Some feather sticks with my knife, the Huntsman, from Very Good Knife Company. Mosquitoes are stupid out here. Not too bad. I could do better though. Just some more feather sticks here. Do some more batoning here. I'm just going to try to get small little kindling type pieces using my design, very good knife company, Huntsman. All right, I'm gonna get fire going. The mosquitoes are stupid out here, so I'm gonna get me some fine little fluff here. Using that extremely sharp spine from Very Good Knife Company. He does amazing work on his sharp spine. Give you just a little bit of fluff. There we go. Wasn't gonna do fire just because it's hot out here, but the mosquitoes are so ridiculous that I'm just gonna go ahead and do one. Everything's still kind of wet, so it's not going as quick as I would like, but it will go. Now, something else to kind of consider with my knife design here is just the way that blade is shaped, and it's basically symmetrical on the tip. To me, it kind of reminds me of just a single-edged, like, Greek hoplite, or like some people, like the knife variant is like a smatch it or something, you know? And I know some people will get triggered because they're like, oh, it's not exactly a smatch it. It's like, okay, how many variants of a Bowie knife is there? Okay. I tend on leaning on calling this like a smatch it blade shape just because it has a kind of flared out wide blade. But as you guys can see, just the blade shape actually does a pretty good job at making like a bow drill divot, which I'm not really particularly that savvy on, So I'd like to see somebody that's a little bit more bushcraft savvy get one of these and tell me what they think. As always, I'm going to do some cordage cutting. I don't think this is going to have any issues whatsoever. Very good knife company, does amazing edges on his knives. I'm extremely impressed, and there's a reason why I went with him for my design. All right, here I have two similar sized knives. Right here I have the Architect 6.5, and here I have my knife, the Huntsman, also has a 6.5 blade. Both of these are very similarly sized. I'm just gonna chop them both side by side each other. I'm just gonna do 15, 20 chops or so, just to kind of see how they do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, not too bad for a mid-sized knife. Let's try mine here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. As you can see, my design here, and I wouldn't consider either of these like a chopping knife per se, but as you can see, both of these are about the same size. However, my design just has that little bit of forward heft just with the blade shape, and I even had them take a little bit of material out of the handles to kind of help with that. And so I'll also say on top of that, my knife has this real deep rear portion here, so it's real easy to kind of choke back with it and just really get a good chop with it. While the Architect 6.5, I felt like I had to reset my hand. It's not bad, but I did have to do it. So just something else to consider. A Huntsman from Very Good Knife Company. Just gonna do some chopping with it. Has a lot of bite. Does pretty good. So this is not what I would consider a chopper, by no means. However, because of the weight distribution and the forward weight, I feel like it can out chop past its class. All right, so we're going to discuss the sheath a little bit here. What I wanted with my knife design was a taco type of sheath. I like just the kind of slick profile this is, and I'm actually quite amazed that Very Good Knife Company was able to achieve that with such a broad blade. Now, obviously, I put the patch on there and I put the nylon backer on there myself. We're still kind of discussing on what kind of backer we're going to be going with. I'd like to see like a nylon backer that has some kind of Velcro snap attachment that I could have people put these on their belt without having to take the whole knife off, because I personally enjoy that. But even as is, I'm very impressed with the Kydex sheath that these will be coming with. All right, so now I'm gonna just do some notches here with my knife, the Huntsman. And we'll do some cross grain batoning. Almost got it to pop right out there. Nice little square notch. Do kind of more of a tent stake. awesome little tent stake. See if we can do cross grain baton. Oh yeah, no problem whatsoever. Beast. All right, so something else to kind of consider with my knife design here is the price point is going to be kind of right around the $360, maybe even $370 price point. All right, so I know right off the bat some people are going to be like, that's too much money. Well, there's kind of this, how do I say it, communist Marxist kind of ideology, and I've seen it even in the quote knife community, that other people think that they can tell somebody else what their labor is worth. And here's the thing, a few things off the bat. There's actually a significant hunk of steel here. There's a lot of work from a small American-made shop that's going into this knife. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, it's just ADCR V2 steel. The steel is not even the most expensive part of making a knife. The steel is kind of irrelevant, honestly. The work that goes into the knife is actually more expensive and valuable than the steel that the knife is made out of. Also, something else too is a small American-made shop, a guy that's pumping these out, you know, in small batches, always has to have a higher price point than somebody like, and I'm not even picking on them, I love the company, but like White River that can pump these out by the thousands. Just saying. So before you kind of lose your mind, and I know some people are going to do that, quite frankly, you don't have to buy this knife. If you don't want to, don't buy it. This is going to be for the guys that are, in my opinion, serious. They want a one kind of tool that's going to last them a lifetime, and they want that craftsmanship that comes from a small American shop and not just something that's on a factory produced level. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my initial review of my knife, the Huntsman, from Very Good Knife Company. Now, I personally really like that kind of 6 to 7 inch blade. I feel like it's a great size to easily carry on your belt. It doesn't want to like weigh you down too much, but yet it can still perform a lot of your task. And that's what I wanted out of this knife. And I think this knife does that perfectly. I'm extremely excited to see these come out. I'm extremely excited to see other people get these and kind of give me their thoughts as well. I'm going to have 2 more coming out. I got a black handled model and a natural handled model that I'm going to hand off to 2 other YouTubers. Actually, I'll let you guys know who they are. Heavyset Tactical and Jacob Peterson are both going to be getting one of these to try out, and then they're going to kind of hand them off to other YouTubers. So I'm super eager for these to come out, because honestly, I've been kind of working on this design for some time now, and now to see this in actually coming to production, I'm extremely happy and extremely excited to see these. So and I think a lot of other people will really enjoy my knife design here. So these will be releasing August the 23rd. That is going to be the first drop. If you don't follow Very Good Knife Company, be sure to get on his email list, because he gives you kind of when the drops are. You know, he's not a large production company, so he kind of operates in drops. So I have a feeling that even with the price point of these are going to go pretty quickly. So be sure to get on that email list and check out Very Good Knife Company. And also just know too, he has a lot of other models that he's regularly doing drops on. And every one that I've held thus far, I am very impressed with. I like his knives quite a bit. And if you're not a big crusty ADCR V2 type of guy, he has quite a few models that he does drops in Nitro V as well. We're going to keep these fairly simple for now, but maybe in the future we might do some kind of specialty models and maybe even kind of play with some stainless steel. But I'm extremely happy with this knife, and honestly, it's kind of hard for me to say just because like this has been something I've been working on for a long time, and I'm just happy to actually see it coming to motion. I absolutely love my own knife here. So with all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.